Yeah.
Thought it was static.
I don't know what that's about. It's interesting because, we hear Kalyani and we hear musicians and it sounds great, and then you listen to it afterwards and it's awful.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that used to be that way. I don't quite know what's going on.
The last couple of times, it's been a lot clearer, crisper with the musicians.
I did turn down the volume, now that I think of it. It may have been just too high.
I love that.
I'm told that you're not supposed to do that. Oh, why? Because it's a crash. It's supposed to be nothing more.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, Zoom friends. It's nice to see everybody this morning. I'm Marlene Bottenfield. I'll be the platform assistant today. I feel so blessed to be a part of our community because of this journey that we're going on together to deeper horizons, to deeper peace and joy. I don't think I would be on it if I were by myself, but because of you and your support, I really feel blessed, so thank you. In the beginning was the one presence of the undivided and unmanifest pure spirit of life, light, and love. In its generosity, it shared itself, its consciousness, and its love in the visible form of creation. We acknowledge this presence within us and us as us, the creative energy of the divine feminine and masculine, expressing in all our giftedness and creativity. We acknowledge this presence in our companion, Mother Earth, and in all sentient beings. This universal presence in everything we call the Christ. We light this candle as a visible reminder of that Christ presence expressing in, as, and through us in this present now moment. It is the truth. Let us own it. And now let's hear the opening song, Practicing the Presence. Oh, please stand.
Practicing the presence of illuminated light, we stand together as one, witnessing the essence of the thing behind all life. We stand together in love, and we all join hands, and our hearts open wide. Come feel the power of love inside. Yes, we walk in love, and we stand for peace, practicing the presence of the One. Practicing the presence of the One. Practicing Witnessing the presence of illuminated light, we stand together as one. Witnessing the essence of the thing behind all life, we stand together in love. And we all join hands and our hearts open wide. Come feel the power of love inside. Yes, we walk in love and we stand for peace, practicing the presence of the One. Practicing the presence of the One. Practicing the presence of the One.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome, everyone. It's great to see all of your smiling eyes over your masks. And welcome to anybody who's here for their first time. If you are, could you just raise your hand? Yeah. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. And hi, Zoom. We welcome everybody else who's on Zoom. So we are an online and in-person community as we navigate through these times. So today is the final week of our 7-week program. See, I told you it would fly. It always does. And so today, in the final section of the material that we're reading, he talks about two things, really. He talks about dying to ourself, but he also then talks about the loving eyes of God. And I'm going to share my talk on both of those things and in a personal way, my own experience. And I want to start off with a lovely poem that Brian Breeling shared with us last Tuesday in the Spiritual Exploration when we were reading material for week 6. And this is a poem called I Am Not I, and it's by Juan Ramon Jimenez. And I believe he won a Pulitzer back in the 50s. And this poem is translated by Robert Bly. Many of you are familiar with Robert Bly. And the poem says, I am not I. I am this one walking beside me, whom I do not see, whom at times I manage to visit, and whom at other times I forget, who remains calm and silent while I talk, and forgives gently when I hate, who walks where I am not, who will remain standing when I die. And I thought that very simple poem speaks to this idea. I don't want to get into a dualism, but it does express the idea that at times there are at least two aspects of us. You know, there's the little self, the ego self, the small self, however you want to call it, and then there's that other self that is in spirit. I was watching a YouTube the other day, and the person described our sense of ourself as just the tip of the iceberg. It's like, what we have to remember is there this much bigger, greater self that is there the whole time. And so all of our spiritual exploration really is about discovering that deeper self, becoming aware of it, visiting with it, as he says. At times I manage to visit. But then he also says we forget. We totally forget. And we just think we're up here in this tiny little peace that's above the waterline. And I love when he says that it's there forgiving when we are not. That's beautiful. Just to maybe think back on times when you may have had a hard time forgiving, to just realize that there was a much bigger part of you that was always forgiving. And that hopefully bleeds into that smaller self and helps us to let go of our unforgiveness. Who walks where I am not? Again, just this idea that there's a companion. You know, it's interesting, you know, growing up Catholic, of course, you had your guardian angel, but, you know, it's just an extension of you, of the one consciousness that there is. And of course, it is the one that does not experience death. And we'll explore that further in the talk. So with those ideas in mind, I invite us, as always, into a time of prayer. And again, it's really an opening to understanding and realizing the bigger aspect of ourselves. That's what prayer is all about. To know that for ourselves and for those we pray for. And I want to start this morning by praying for my sister Helen and my niece Maeve in Ireland, both of whom came down with COVID this past week. They're having mild symptoms. They were vaccinated, so pray for them, for all those indeed who are experiencing COVID. We pray for Gwen Bennett. Gwen lost her home in the river fire and is still looking for shelter, really. And she had asked us a couple of weeks ago to pray for her, and unfortunately it fell through the cracks. So I'm going to say 3 times, we're praying for Gwen Bennett. We're going to pray for Gwen Bennett. We are praying for Gwen Bennett. That makes up for the 3 weeks that we missed. So there's going to be an avalanche of prayer heading towards Gwen right now. Hi, Gwen. We continue to pray for Pat Lynn Kyle, who is recovering, for Jerry Henderson, for another sister of mine, Betty Harding, who has been diagnosed with some cancer, for Natalie Meyer, Amy Donaldson, Leah Doherty, Samini Kaia, Casey Kress, Joshua Coons, Justin Becker, Crystal, Charlie and Will McBride, Larry Holman, Ralph Rose, Greg Archibald, Paul Spoto, John and Claudia Martin, Paxton, Baker, Rumi Daw, Michelle Demarest, Mike and Candy, Rob and Lena, Paul, Diane Dyer, for Marlene, Umberto Torres, Judith and Larry, Anthony Cortez, Anita, Bill Fingerson, Emma Clay, and family. So we know them as this greater presence that they are, and we call that forth, we invoke it into existence. For who else do you pray, if you'd like to say their names out loud at this time? And so we conclude all of these prayers with that beautiful prayer that we say in unity. Maybe. Richard, do you have the slide? No. Okay. I think we know it. There is only one presence and one power, active as the universe and as our lives, the all-loving goodness of God, and all is well. And so now we listen to the daily word for today, read for us by Marlene.
Our word for today is prosperity. Prosperity fills my life. Current flowing through my home's wiring provides light, But first, I must flip the switch to turn it on. Divine substance, the building block of creation, is the source from which my prosperity grows. But first I must claim it in consciousness to live a prosperous life. The divine idea of prosperity is unlimited, more than sufficient to meet every need. I know true prosperity when I live from this truth. Giving freely and generously keeps prosperity at the forefront of my consciousness. I know the more I give, the more of myself I place into circulation, the more I will experience. As I give of myself, I increase the flow of prosperity in my life and in the world. And from Mark 4:24, and he said to them, pay attention to what you hear. The measure you give will be the measure you get, and still more will be given to you. For our meditation today, we will explore that space between our small self, our ego self, and the Christ consciousness. Let's begin. Wiggle yourself into a comfortable position on your chair, with your feet flat on the ground. Take a slow, deep breath. Feel the air swirling around inside you. Now exhale, sharing the breath of life with the space around you. Take one more cleansing breath in and then out. Breathe your next breath into the space between your eyes. Feel the space relax and clear as you gently exhale. Our eyes give us information about the world outside of ourselves. Now bring your next breath into your throat space. Be aware of your throat and the sounds it creates as you send relaxing energy to it. As you gently lift your shoulders and then relax them, feel the breath entering the space between your shoulder blades and releasing any tension. Now feel your breath enter your forearms and wrists. Be aware of how hard they work for you. Feel them loosen and then relax. Become aware of your fingertips and their joints as you gently wiggle them with your next breath in and then out. Our hands are often our contact with the world beyond self. They hold, touch, and carry. They can create a fist or a gentle caress. With your next breath, breathe into your hips and thighs. Feel yourself firmly planted on your chair. Recognize the chair as something separate from you, something you are using. Now, with your next breath, be aware of your legs being bent at your knees, wrapping down the front of the chair. With this next breath, tighten and then release your calves. Notice how your feet are also tightening. Feel your feet on the floor. Are they on the carpet? On the ground outside? Feel the texture beneath your feet as you exhale this breath. Now go to your heart center and gut center together, and with a slow, deep cleansing breath, feel your heart center and gut center clear and expand. With another deep breath, feel your heart expand beyond your body. And with your next breath, feel it expand even further. What happens with each deep breath as you expand? Do you feel yourself blending with the space around you? Do you feel yourself opening and widening to the universe? Imagine yourself as air, moving in and out with each breath, expanding even further. Feel yourself now floating gently past your chair, gently past a table if one is near, caressing them with your breath as your wholeness floats towards the window, expanding out into the view outside. Feel yourself flowing through the leaves as they dance their last dance on the trees. Swirl up into the sky and fly alongside the bluebird you see. Feel yourself in oneness with the bird. There is no edge to who you are and no edge to the bird. You are the same. Your breath becomes the rustling of feathers, the song of the breeze, the voice of life. You are all these and more. Staying in the space of expansion, gently feel your attention return to this space. Be aware that you are beyond your body. You are connected to all. You are all. You are complete love in this space. Try to be aware of being expanded in your fullness as much as possible as we listen to our special music and as we listen to Reverend Jerry's talk. Thank you, God. We will now hear Swing Wide the Doors.
Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. I'm not holding it in anymore. I'm gonna shout it out loud. I understand now what I'm here for, and what this life is about. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand, about lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. There's a voice that I've heard for years. I learned to keep it inside. Well, now it's coming in loud and clear. I want a deeper life. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand, about lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine.
Okay, so the talk title for today is Living and Loving Life. And in the final section of our 7-week study book, The Untethered Soul, Michael Singer writes about the part that death plays in our awakening to our true self. Dying to our small selves liberates us and transforms our experience of ourselves so that we can come to know our real and true nature. And once we know our true nature, we realize we're love. That's what we're made of. That's all we're made of, is love. And it's the only thing that endures. And when we get that realization, it is only then that we can understand who or what God is. You know, we have to shift out of all of these senses that we have of what it means to be us and me, if we want to experience what it's like to be God. He calls this section in the book, and it's one of my favorite sections, The Loving Eyes of God. And I'm going to read sections of that for us in a while, because it's just so beautiful, it's so poetic. And the reason why he calls it that is because as part of the experience of love, we come to the realization that there is no judgment in God. Love just does not judge. And that, of course, is what we're all looking for, right? We're looking for complete acceptance. Complete love. We recall that Singer starts with the idea that we must wake up to who we really are by connecting with the soul. And he gives us this sort of exercise to do where we kind of we step back from this, from who we think we are, and we observe ourselves from this other place. And that's just a method that he employs for us to begin to have a sense of this one, as the poem says, that stands alongside us or stands behind us. And he highlights how closing our hearts and holding on to negative energy blocks us from experiencing our soul, this other self, this deeper self. And he shows us how we use our minds to attempt to make us feel better by fixing what we think is wrong about ourselves. We know something isn't right. We know this experience of ourselves isn't matching up to our hopes and dreams, our spiritual aspirations. And we just dig down deeper with our minds to try and fix it. If we can just get a hold of it, we will be able to fix it. But instead of doing all that, he encourages us to go a different route, that through the heart we can experience love, and then from there we can experience happiness and we can experience joy. But it's not a mental concept of love, and it's not a mental concept of happiness or of joy. It's the actual energy of peace, love, joy that he's wanting us to touch into. So I want to share once again my own experience that I experienced in my life of what Singer has shared with us in terms of the profound change that we can go through and this huge opening that can happen for us to where we expand, like Marlene was having us do, into our sense of ourselves. So I've shared this before, I know, but when I was about 16, 17, 18, 16, 17, I was going through a horrendous time because I was dealing with the fact that I was gay. And I didn't want to be. This was, coming up against everything that society was telling me that this was wrong. And I was taking in all of that energy. And I was building the mental construct that Singer talks about in the book, which is one of rejection, shame, resistance, guilt, and above all else, judgment. Every single moment of my day was spent in judgment of myself and of how bad a person I was, all stemming from my sexuality. And I did not want to be this with every fiber of my being. And I wanted and tried to fix it through my will. I thought, I can overcome this. I can fix this. And it was like there was this internal blade inside me that was simply cutting me every single day, shredding me, shredding my self-worth, shredding my sense of myself. And it's like I was bleeding energetically inside. And of course, it was all self-hate, and it was killing me. So it led to the logical conclusion of attempting to kill myself, just shy of my 18th birthday. And it wasn't so much that I didn't want to live, it was that I didn't want to feel this pain anymore. It was just way too painful. And I wanted the pain to stop. And so, of course, in that mental structure of the mind, it says, well, okay, the way to get out of this is to end your life. There was another alternative, that was to stop judging myself. And let me say that in that moment of that intense pain and self-hatred that was so deep, that I was unable to even think about or imagine or feel anybody else's pain. It was so all-consuming. I didn't think about my mom or dad or what my suicide would do to them as much as I loved them. And I make that point because recently I did a memorial for a man in his 40s who killed himself. And I was meeting with the parents. And the thing that the father couldn't understand was, how could you do this to us? How could you cause us this much pain? And I was able to share with him that when you are in that place, it's like a light going out, and it gets dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. And your view of things just is like this. You can only feel and think about your own pain. You're not able to think of others. So I share that in the hope that it may be helpful for anybody else who has had a family member or friend commit suicide. So you could say in a sense that my mind or my personal self had just run riot. And after the suicide attempt failed, which I'm not even going to go into because it was so comical that if you thought I felt bad before, it took me to a new level. Seriously. It was amazing. And it was as if my ego self just suddenly imploded on itself and collapsed under the weight of all of the stupidity and everything else that I was feeling, all of those negative emotions that I was holding on to. And I don't know whether I let go of them or if something let go of them for me. But I do remember having a physical sensation of falling internally inside my body. It was as if the floor opened up and I dropped about 5 or 6 feet. And as I was feeling that downward drop in the center of myself, like the center wasn't holding, some of these maybe phrases come to mind, I was suddenly met by this other energy coming up like from the floor, from the center of the earth, like a lightning bolt of bright white light swirling and traveling at the speed of light. And it was like this lightning bolt. And I have a slide that I want to show you. It felt like I died in that moment, and something immense was born inside me. So this is what's called a caduceus, I think. And if you see the two snakes that are going in opposite directions, I believe it's the female and the male energy, seemingly, in Hinduism, the Ida and the Pingala. I literally felt this. It was like it shot up through my body, blew the top of my head off, literally is what it felt like. And then this energy just started pouring out the top of my head, out of the crown of my head, and down over me, which later I discovered is called Kundalini Energy. And I had no clue. I'd never read anything about Kundalini Energy or the Ida and the Pingala or any of this stuff. But later, all of this stuff matched my experience. And so it was this cleansing. It was like a baptism. And it was warm and it was wonderful. And I was sobbing. And just all of that stuff, that mental stuff, the construct, suddenly was just like dissolving. And then the next image is the torus. The energy was flowing out the top of my head down and coming back up like this. And it was in a complete circle, like one of those kids' toys. And it was coming up through my spine, And as it did, it got stronger and stronger, and the negativity went away. And suddenly it was like I was in a state of complete peace, joy, bliss, love. And I was bathed in the sea of expanded consciousness, which made me understand and realize who I truly was. My real self was so much beyond what I had thought I was. I loved your meditation. It was perfect to go with the talk. And I could feel the universe. I was the universe. I was consciousness. And it was like from experiencing yourself as a drop of water in the ocean to suddenly you could feel yourself as the ocean and its movement and its expansiveness and its infinity. And it was just mind-blowing and amazing. And the one thing that was true is that there wasn't a centillion of judgment. Judgment was completely wiped out. There was nothing to oppose this love. It was all-encompassing. There was no such thing as sin. It's just a construct of the mind. Guilt, shame, hell, the devil, all of this is just thought that we've come up with. And all of that was blown away. And I saw it for what it was. All was one. And I was this one being experiencing myself as I truly was. An eternal, infinite, expanding being of pure love and nothing else. And when I would think something, I would have an immediate response, instantaneous. Like if I asked a question, the answer was right there. Because of course I was the one mind. So the mind would just respond automatically. And indeed, as I was falling at the beginning, I said, God, if you're there, help me. And again, it was like instantaneous. I had no sooner said the words than I had the answer, and I had this experience. Don't ask me why I had it and you didn't. I know that's always an awkward one, but for whatever reasons, I had it. And so there was this telepathic communication going on. And I was most definitely in what Singer calls the seat of the soul, totally connected to divinity, totally in love. And I went into a space of devotion or adoration. And it wasn't like I was looking at someone, but it was like iron filings that someone had put a magnet in front of, and I was just completely absorbed with the energy of love, the feeling of love. And it was just sort of coming at me in light. It wasn't like I saw a being. And so there was this magnetic pull towards this being of love. And I couldn't move, and I wasn't interested in moving. And yet at the same time, I knew that my family were all sort of connected to me. We were all there together. And I realized that in the moment of death, you're not going to be worried about your relatives, because you will be so much in love with this energy and this being that you are. You will know they're all fine, and you won't worry about them, because all you'll want is to be in this energy of love. So I want to read a couple of passages and maybe this is why I'm so taken with this book, because he really writes about my experience as far as I'm concerned. So this is from The Loving Eyes of God, page 173, chapter 19. Fortunately, deep within us, there is a direct connection to the divine. There is a part of our being that is beyond the personal self. You can consciously choose to identify with that part rather than with the psyche or the body. You actually begin to know what it feels like to be moving in the direction of spirit. So you can know the nature of God by looking into the mirror of your transformed self. This is not a philosophy. This is a direct experience. And so clearly I was given this direct experience of the energy of God so that I could realize that it's a mirror for me. When you begin to feel, what you begin to feel is that you're going into your spiritual being. As you associate less with the physical and psychological parts of your being, you begin to identify more with the flow of pure energy. And this is the thing that Singer is trying to get us to understand. We're not up in our heads in doing all of what he's talking about. It's connecting with energy. What does it feel like to identify more with spirit than with form? You used to walk around feeling anxiety and tension. Now you walk around feeling love. You just feel love for no reason. Your backdrop is love. Your backdrop is openness, beauty, appreciation. You don't have to make yourself feel that way. This is how spirit feels. Well, how does spirit feel normally? The truth is, it always feels good. It always feels high. It always feels open and light. Because of this, you naturally begin to center more and more on the spiritual part of your being. You did this not by reaching for spirit, by letting go of the rest. And I certainly had the experience of the rest, all of that other stuff, just being let go of. There really is no other way. The personal self cannot touch spirit. You must release the personal self. As you release it, you drift back. And as you go further back, you go higher. You get higher in vibration and higher in the amount of love and lightness that you feel. You begin to soar. This happens in an ever-increasing continuous progression. As you let go and willingly release the physical, emotional, and mental aspects of your being, spirit becomes your natural state. What if it is really true that God is not judging? What if God is loving? We all know that true love doesn't judge. Love sees nothing but beauty in its beloved. The reality is that God's way is love, and you can see this for yourself. If for even one moment you can look at someone with the eyes of true love, you'll know those eyes are not yours. Your eyes could never look with that amount of love. Your eyes could never be that unconditional. Your eyes could never in a million years see only beauty and total perfection in your beloved. Those are the eyes of God looking down through you. When the hand of God reaches out to give through you, there's nothing you wouldn't give when you're in that state of love. So what he's talking about really is what Richard Rohr talked about, that the Christ mind, that's the Christ mind that I experienced. The Christ mind knows that everything is one, and it knows that everyone is part of the Christ, and that it's all existing and happening in the space of love and nowhere else. That's Christ's consciousness. That's the awareness of one who knows themselves to be one with everything and everyone. Now, you may wonder what happened after that. So I had an afterglow for about 6 months. And then gradually, as I went off to college and went to seminary, I started building up the ego self again. And that wonderful sense of that connection began to diminish. So it is possible to have those experiences, which is really a state. It's not a stage. I didn't stay there. I said it's like someone who takes too much alcohol. That's a state. It wears off, and you can go back to where you were. But the one thing that's true is that I know what Singer is talking about. And at any time in my life, I can remember it as a mental concept. And I know it's true, and I know that it's what really has guided my life, and it's where I preach from, that's the vision that was given to me, and it is real. It's very true. And if we could see right now, we are connected with all these beings all around us, and they're all aspects of us, and we're aspects of them. And all of the ascended masters and the archangels and the angels and you name it, it's all one. It's one being. We're it. And it's magnificent. And so as we finish the book, I hope that you'll take some of this vision perhaps, that I've shared with you this morning, and that it will be your touchstone also, as it is for me, to guide you in your daily life.
Okay. So we have some announcements from the sublime to the ridiculous. Actually, before the announcements, we have our power statement for November. And wouldn't you know, it's the power of release. Isn't that perfect for today? Whatever I release will bless me. So let's say that together. Whatever I release will bless me. And so we can just imagine all these little bits of data just flying out of us, leaving us, all those emotions that are just so old, that we're so tired of. Yeah. And when we step through that door, it's not even a door, it's just an archway from this life to the next. You know, people say it's a door, but it's not even a door. It's just like you don't feel any difference walking from here to the other side. But that's what happens. We release it all in an instant. All right. So we again have a moment of appreciating and affirming prosperity for our world. We had a lovely reading in the Daily Word today, Prosperity Fills My Life. And so all of nature knows prosperity. It's not worried thinking that there's a lack somewhere. It renews itself. And so we enter into that field of energy for ourselves, knowing that there is enough. There's enough to go around. And from that knowing, then we can be generous. And so let us say together our affirmation. My heart is open to receive and grateful for all my good. I give fearlessly and with love. Always goes back to love, give from love. And so Angela and Gabriel are going to give from love now as they sing their solo piece for us.
Nothing is ever lost, and we are not forgotten. We are living in the heart of God. Nothing is ever lost, and we are not forgotten. We are living in the heart of God. We are living, we are living, we are living in the heart of God. We are living, we are living, we are living in the heart of God. Morning sun coming through the trees, and the green leaves shimmer in the summer breeze. Songbirds singing to the honeybees, living in the heart of God. We are living, we are living, we are living in the heart of God. We are living, we are living, we are living in the heart of God. After the dazzle of day is done, the moon makes love to the setting sun. The stars come twinkling one by one, living in the heart of God. We are living, we are living, we are living in the heart of God. We are living, we are living, we are living in the heart of God. Nothing is ever lost, and we are not forgotten. We are living in the heart of God. Nothing is ever lost, and we are not forgotten. We are living in the heart of God. We are living, we are living, we are living in the heart of God. We are living, we are living, we are living in the heart of God. We sleep in dreams both deep and bright, sailing through the velvet night, refreshing the soul to the spirit's delight, living in the heart of God. We are living, we are living, we are living in the heart of God. We are living, we are living, we are living in the heart of God. We are living, we are living, we are living in the heart of God. We are living, we are living, we are living in the heart of God. We are living in the heart of God. We are living in the heart of God. Nothing is ever lost, and we are not forgotten.
Beautiful, thank you. Yeah, and it's true, we are living in the heart of God. That's why all of our loved ones who've passed on are in our hearts, because that's where we're all living. There's only one place, it's the heart of God. And all of this is just a little room in the heart of God. They're right there. Anyway, announcement time. As we continue in our journey of renewal, transformation, awakening, healing, and wonder. So, this afternoon we have Inspiring Women. They will be gathering at 2:00 to share stories, to share some tea. So if you want to bring a tea bag and a cup, all you ladies can join them, and Kathy Lee will lead them all in a nice exercise that will be inspirational. And then just keep an eye out for Sunday, December 19th, when there will be a Christmas carol gathering. All right, it's great to have the ladies back. And this Tuesday, Christy Stevens will lead the spiritual exploration in its final session of the 7-week study. I'm taking some vacation, and she's very kindly agreed to step in my place. But then the following week and the week after that, the November 23rd and the 30th, Marlene Bottenfield is going to lead us in a 2-week exploration of meditation, different people's meditations. So if you have an interest in learning some amazing meditations, then please join her for those too. And then in the new year, Marlene will lead another meditation group. So we have a group that meets on Mondays, and then we will have a second group one of the other days, and that will be decided in the new year. All right, lots of opportunities to expand. So we have a new thing this year. We have Christmas wrapping. And if you would like, Claire and Leslie and some other helpers who would be willing to gift wrap your gifts for the holidays. That's the idea. And then that it's a little fundraiser. So you'll pay them for that, and the money will go to Unity. So hopefully their intention is to have a lot of fun doing that. And hopefully they know what they're doing and that the gifts will look nice. So if you're looking to join that group, then call Leslie, and there will be lots of room for more helping hands. All right. Thanks for doing that. We've had a Course in Miracles group for many years, and with COVID and one thing and another, it stopped. But Lynn, who's here this morning, is willing to start it up again on the first Thursday in December, and as a trial, at least, on the first Thursdays of the month. So if anybody is interested again in rejoining A Course in Miracles, or even starting from scratch, then Lynn will be leading that from 6:30 to 8:30 on the first Thursdays of the month. We'll see how it goes. All right, thank you, Lynn. And a reminder that our Change for Change, if you have loose change during this month of November, it goes to the food bank, and then in December, it will go to the Interfaith Food Bank. And we are still collecting dry goods, canned goods, whatever. We have 2 barrels out there in the hallway. We already made a contribution of 2 full barrels and lots of bags, because they asked us to get the food to them as soon as possible. And so we'll be collecting and delivering all the way through this month, all the way up to Christmas. And then they will be making their Thanksgiving and Christmas baskets from those food items that we donate. So next time you go to Grocery Outlet, and I recommend Grocery Outlet because they have a ton of stuff, really inexpensive. Like for $10, you can get a lot more there than anywhere else. They have stuffing, which is a great thing for the food banks. They love that. And dry goods, canned goods, pastas, sauces, etc. Okay, and thank you to all those who have already contributed. And we had a great cleanup last Saturday. We had 8 people. There's 4 of them. Our Adopt a Crew, road crew, who cleaned up on Brunswick, going from Greenhorn over to the Y. And it stayed dry when they finished, and it started to rain. So it was perfect. So thank you. There's a couple of more. There are all the bags there on the right-hand side, which got picked up on Tuesday. I was very impressed that the county picked them up so fast. All right. Well, thank you all for being here. And I certainly enjoyed sharing with you this morning. So let's stand and recite together our unity prayer. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, because I am, and all is well. And I hope that those words resonated a little bit more deeply as we said them after the service this morning. And so we close with our beautiful song, I Choose Love.
Peace in my life is growing because I choose love. Love's always present, it's what I'm made of. I choose love. We are a part of each other. We are one tie that binds us, that can't be undone. I choose love. Peace in my family is growing because I choose love. Let love be present, it's what we're made of. I choose love. family, sharing one sun. I choose love. Peace for our planet is growing because we choose love. Let love be present, it's what we're made of. We choose love. We are a part of each other. We are one. One choice unites us. Let this be the one. We choose love. We choose love. We choose love.
Make it a great week.